Are you ready to transform yourself and your life, but you're not quite sure where to begin or how to get started? Well, then allow me to introduce you to shadow work, because shadow work is key in uncovering and healing those parts of ourselves that are holding us back, that are limiting us, that are sabotaging us, and they're keeping us from really experiencing the life that we want to live. And in this video, I want to share with you just how to get started with shadow work and also some techniques that can help you get started with shadow work as well. Because shadow work is truly a powerful process that can set you free, that can transform your life in ways you never thought possible. Shadow work offers the opportunity for greater self-awareness, for emotional freedom, and also personal empowerment. So let's dive right in with what exactly is shadow work, so you can have a bit of an understanding of what exactly is shadow work. Because shadow work is basically a process where you dive deeper into those hidden aspects of yourself, uncovering those fears, the doubts, the limiting beliefs, the limiting habits, your traits, those past experiences, the woundings that are still holding you back, all of those negative things that are holding you back. Because we all have shadow aspects. That's those aspects that are playing in the background and affecting our life in all areas. They're holding us back. They're keeping us from really going after the things that you want. They cause us to hide behind all these different masks to fit in, to not be judged, to be accepted, and all of those different things. It's those limiting aspects about ourselves that are really affecting us negatively in our life. So if you ever felt stuck in your life, if you felt like you couldn't move forward, or you have been moving forward, you've been doing a lot of things, but you're not getting the results that you would like to achieve, that you think you should be able to achieve because of the work that you're putting in. Often there are shadow aspects that are actually playing a big role in this. They're affecting you. They're determining your actions, your inactions, and they're often sabotaging your efforts. And through shadow work, you're able to really uncover what are those aspects that are really holding you back. And you can then heal them, you can clear them, you can transcend them into something higher. You're uncovering the gift within the shadow, because every shadow holds a gift. It holds a message, it holds a lesson, it holds a gift. And when you're doing shadow work, you're uncovering, well, what is that gift? And then you're basically healing and releasing all the old, all the negative, all the limited, and you're basically healing the shadow. And then you're integrating the shadow by really integrating and embodying the gift. That's really what shadow work is in a nutshell. And that can actually help you really transform your life in ways you never thought possible, because it creates that self-awareness, that self-empowerment, that inner freedom, that emotional freedom as well. And it also promotes personal growth. So that is shadow work in a nutshell. So now let's talk a little bit more about how can you get started with shadow work. Now here I want to mention is shadow work should always be done with an open mind and an open heart, never judging yourself about anything that you're uncovering, but really go about shadow work in a gentle and open-hearted and compassionate way. So whenever you're then ready to do shadow work, what you want to do is you want to really create your space. You can maybe play some meditation music, some gentle music to really just to set the mood. You want to have a journal handy, a pen or paper or anything like that to write things down. Maybe even have a candle handy. Definitely be in a space where you can be undisturbed during the time that you're doing the shadow work practice, because you don't want to be interrupted whenever you're doing this. So you want to have that time and space to actually tune in to do this beautiful work. Then what you can do is, and here are a couple of ways that you can start with shadow work, a couple of practices that can help you with that. The first practice is just self-reflection. Really just tuning in and kind of reflecting about who you are, about your traits, about your beliefs, about your feelings, all of those things that are not always that pleasant, that are also limiting. You can also reflect on your emotions, your behaviors, and even some reoccurring themes and patterns in your life. Really just get an idea of, well, what is really going on? That is really the first step here, is because you need to have the awareness of what's really going on, what's really there before you can do any shadow work, because without awareness, you can't do anything about it, right? So start with that self-reflection to really get that awareness. Well, what is really going on? Here you can start out with just one area of your life, or you can just do an overall review of your life to kind of uncover, well, what is really going on that you would like to maybe change? Something that is really limiting, something that is not really in alignment, and things like that. So just do some self-reflection just to get some of an idea of what is really going on. Then the next step would be starting with some journaling practices. Here you can do different journaling practices. And also I have a video, and it's in the description below, about different ways of journaling. So if you want to learn more about how to go about journaling for shadow work, definitely check out that video. It's in the description below. But when you journal, there are different ways of doing journaling, from using certain prompts, like those questions about, what is triggering me? Why is this triggering me? What things do I not like about my life or about myself? Things like that. Or you can just do free writing, really just writing down anything that comes to mind. Or you can actually tune into a specific area of your life that you would like to see some changes. And you just journal about the negative emotions, the traits, all of the stuff that is really holding you back. All of those negative things that are coming up about this. Because when it comes to the shadow, you want to actually give it a time and space to really connect with it. And I'll talk more about that step here in a moment. But when you journal, you just kind of journal about whatever comes up. You want to really tune into whatever it is that you're feeling and write about that. Really write on anything that comes to mind. So there are different ways of how to go about journaling, but journaling is a great way to just put your thoughts on paper. So if you're not quite sure how to really get started with journaling, definitely check out the video in the description below. There are also some prompts that I mentioned in the video to help you get started. But journaling is a great way to start shadow work, to just write everything down. I have actually found that journaling is actually easier than just thinking about things, because when you're journaling, you're just letting everything flow. And here you want to really be open, just to let anything flow out of you onto paper. Just write anything down that comes to mind. Then the third step is you actually then want to then give it a time and space and tune into the discomfort. And here you may say, like, why would I want to do that? Well, that's actually the key about shadow work, because the shadow aspects, those negative emotions, they're there, whether you want to or not, whether you acknowledge them or not, but they are there. You cannot just push them aside, because when you push them aside, well, you're not doing anything with them. You're just pushing it aside. It's still there, and it starts to fester. It starts to kind of, consume you from the inside out the longer it goes on, because then it just kind of festers. It gets more and more and more, and it gets more intense. So when you do shadow work, you actually want to then acknowledge that, okay, these are the feelings that I have. And that's why journaling is so important, because you can actually uncover those feelings by you just writing it all down. So when you uncover, well, what are those feelings? Then you want to tune in. You want to give it a time and space to feel the emotion. And here you want to detach from the story, because the story doesn't matter. You want to completely detach from that story and really just connect to the feeling. Here you can write more about that. So you can just write about how you're really feeling. Like I said, it's not about the story, right? But here you can give yourself the time and space. Here you can just tune in if you want, if you don't want to write about it, and just really connecting to the feeling. Okay, I'm going to give myself a couple minutes to just feel the feeling. And you're just feeling the feeling. Like I said, not thinking about the story or anything like that, just feeling it with the intention to release the intenseness around whatever you're feeling. Because if you're giving it the time and space, and first of all, the acknowledgement that, yes, I see you, I know you're there. Thank you for making yourself known to me. You're acknowledging that, and then you're feeling it. Like I said, with the intention of releasing it and clearing out that intenseness of what you're feeling. Then after a few minutes, you may then notice that the intensity lessens. And then you can then open yourself up to, like, okay, what's the message, the lesson, and the gift here? Because that is key. You can't release the shadow without uncovering the gift, because it's the gift that will then help you transcend shadow. So when you have felt the feeling for a little bit, then you open yourself up, like, okay, what is the message, the lesson, and the gift here? Because there is a gift within each shadow. And that's why you don't want to be connected to the story, because the story keeps you in victim mentality and victim energy. And then you're not going to be able to uncover the gift. And then you're also not able to transcend your shadow. So you want to really open yourself up to just feeling the feeling without connecting to the story, in order to uncover the gift, the message, the lesson, whatever you're meant to learn from this. Then you take that with you. Once you have uncovered the message, the lesson, and the gift, then what you can do is, because then the shadow is ready to be transcended, then what you can do is you can do a clearing statement, and you basically already connected to it, and then you just decide and you state in your mind or out loud, I now clear and transmute this across all time, space, reality, lifetimes, and dimensions. And you do that, you say that with intention. really seeing it dissolve into the nothingness where it came from, letting it dissolve, okay? You would have noticed that it shifts. Because one thing that I have really found is that in order to really let go of the shadow, it needs to be transcended into something higher. So by you releasing that, releasing the tension, that opens you up to then really embodying the gift. So whatever gift you uncovered, that's what you then want to embody and then take different actions from that place. Now here I also want to mention, if you're having a little bit of a hard time releasing the shadow, then I also have some light language activations I want to invite you to check out too. There's a playlist in the description below of light language activation to help you release and clear certain shadow aspects, and more are to come as well. So definitely check them out if that is of interest to you. But that is then the fourth step of really clearing and healing the shadow. Then the fourth step is, once you really uncover the shadow, the gift and things like that, and you healed and cleared it, then you want to actually take different actions. You want to think like, okay, this is the gift. This is what I was meant to learn from this. Okay, then what can I do now? What is the next step moving forward? And here you can also journal about that. Journal about, well, what is that next step? Now that you have healed and cleared the shadow, what is that next step for you? How can you really integrate that shadow by really integrating the gift and taking different actions? That's really key, because when it comes to shadow work, you don't just want to do the uncovering and the healing and clearing, but you also need to take different actions, or otherwise you're kind of staying stuck in that limbo, so to speak. So in order to really then integrate the shadow, you have to take different actions, and you can do that by really integrating the gift. That is then the fourth step. So these are the steps of how to really go about shadow work. Now, in addition, what you may want to do is you may even want to seek support, because shadow work can be challenging, especially if you're not quite sure how to go about that, or if you're not really ready to really dive deep into uncovering your shadows, then maybe seeking support will be of benefit for you to really get that outside support. Because if you work with someone that is skilled in shadow work, that knows what they're doing, they can guide you, they can assist you in also uncovering, really pulling out the things that are most important for you to work through. Because oftentimes we have a fail-safe. We're not allowing ourselves to heal and clear certain things, or even uncover certain things, because it's like you don't want to open up Pandora's box all on your own without having that support system. And when you work with someone, that someone can then assist you in really clearing those really deep wounds that are affecting you today. And if you would like my help, I want to invite you to consider maybe booking a transformation healing session with me. Or if you're not quite sure if that is the right thing for you, maybe start with a discovery session so we can explore how we can work together too, so I can assist you on this journey of deep inner healing, so you can really get the support that you need on this journey. So both links are in the description below if that is of interest to you. And the final tip that I just want to mention of how to really embrace shadow work is make it a regular practice. Shadow work is not just something that you do once and then you're done with this. This is like a continuous approach. This is a continuous practice that you should integrate into your day-to-day routine, or at least multiple times a week, because the shadows are there. Right? And they usually tend to come up when you least expect them, when you're going about your day, when something happens and you're being triggered, or when you're doing something that stretches you, that makes you to step outside of your comfort zone. That's usually when shadow aspects, they peek their head and they're being poked, they're being triggered, right? So doing shadow work on a day-to-day basis is going to be beneficial. And then also, it won't be so challenging if you do shadow work on a day-to-day basis. You're basically working through things before they can really come up and really derail you. Because when they do then come up and they derail you, then it's usually more painful and more challenging to work through that. But if you just become aware of any shadow aspects on a day-to-day basis and work through them on a day-to-day basis, then it's so much easier, because then you're basically clearing it out before they can fester and become more intense. So here you go. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. This is like a starting point for you to how to get started with shadow work. And it's truly a beautiful practice that I really hope I inspired you to get started with. I would love to know from you. How are you feeling now about shadow work? Are you now inspired to really get started with it, or have you been doing shadow work already? I would love to know. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what's your experience with shadow work, or how are you feeling about getting started with that. But then thank you so much for being here. Now also be sure to check out these two videos here. One is a video about 6 steps to start healing your shadow, and another one is a light language activation to transcend your shadow self. I think you're going to enjoy both of those. So thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you again in the next video. Until then, make an amazingly abundant and joyful day. Namaste.